Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Ken and Michael Ehrman. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here this wonderful afternoon. You are talking today about a new approach to dog training, Halo. You're the co-founders of, and it's a wonderful partnership that you've gone in with Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer, to create this wonderful way to keep our little doggies safe. And so I'm so grateful to have you here. How are you both?
Great.
We're well. Thank you so much for having us. Love to be here.
You betcha. And what I always have our guests do, and I'm really curious to hear the story behind this, what brought you to creating Halo and also partnering with Cesar Millan?
Why don't I take that one, Mike? Because really, Michael and I have been in business together since we both graduated Stanford. We were engineers and we were in the technology space, and our company was called ID Systems, and we were tracking 500,000 things for half the Fortune 100, like forklifts, rental cars, and tractor trailers. And we had a device that would be installed on these assets and make sure they were used safely and efficiently. But safety was the number one thing.
Awesome.
And by the time I left in 2016, we were on about 500,000 things, tracking them in real time. But then my niece's dog got out of their invisible fence.
Whoa.
So, they had a dog, there's an invisible fence. Basically, the invisible fence allows you to let your dog out without them running away. Instead of a real fence, it's kind of an electric fence, I would say. And that's the way they did it. And it's been around for 20 years. But once you get out, you're out. And then when my niece's dog got out, she was run over by a car. And it was devastating. We were all completely traumatized. And she called me. She was 10 years old at the time. And this was their first experience with such a traumatic event. And I thought to myself, wow, this is actually a problem I could fix, because this is what I do. Like, I've been doing this on forklifts, trailers, and rental cars. And if there was a way to apply it to dogs and take this amazing technology and track where the dogs are and create fences wherever you go, then you could really allow a dog to have a life off leash.
That's awesome.
I was like, this is an amazing, from a tragedy came to this idea.
Yeah.
And then the first thing I did was said, you could have the best idea in the world, but you got to do something with it.
Exactly.
So I was lucky that I had relationships in this industry. So the manufacturer who had built my other 500,000 devices, I knew them. I knew the people who were the industry experts. So I had a big head start because this was right in my area of expertise. And I immediately said to my brother, you got to come join me with this. So he was my expert number one that I needed, because he's really a technology expert, like when it comes to Internet of Things.
Yeah.
And then I knew I needed Cesar Millan. You needed the dog expertise.
Yes.
And I really couldn't even come up with anyone else. I was like, who's the world's best dog expert in order to design the best dog product?
And that would be
So he's basically been helping us design this product for the last 3 years.
Wow.
We launched it in November of 2020, and we've now had over 15,000 customers using the collar every day to keep their dogs safe and take them with them anywhere.
Wow. And this is amazing to me, Ken, because so many of our savvy past guests and businesses have created their business just for that. There was a great need in their own life. Something happened and they're like, I'm going to fix this problem. And that's what you all did. That's wonderful. Now, explain I didn't know what electric fences were until just last year. Why would it not work or cause the dog to not, go past it? How does that work? I'm just curious.
Right. Maybe I can kind of explain that.
Okay.
So, right. The traditional product that's been around, like Ken said, for 20 years or longer, involves burying a wire in the ground. And your dog would wear a special collar that would detect the wire when it got close. And when it got close, there would be some kind of prompt or feedback to your dog to try to keep it from crossing that line. And that's really how it works. But if they do cross the line, they're no longer near the wire. They're just free. There's no more wire anymore. Mm-hmm. So it only works at that exact spot where there happens to be a wire. So it's very limited. And of course, fundamentally, you have this issue that you need to install a wire and bury a wire in the ground, which is very hard. A lot of people do it. A tremendous number of people have done it, and there's a lot of them out there. Mm-hmm. But there's so many people who can't do it. They have houses that they don't own the property, or they just can't physically install it. So that's why it only is limited to the fence area, but also limited in how many people can really use it. So with our technology, what we said is, look, we can give the same exact feedback to the dog, if not better feedback, smarter feedback. But we can create this virtual boundary that allows you to put it literally anywhere you choose. So it's not limited to owning the property. It's not limited to any type of home that you may own. And it could still give that same kind of feedback that we know works because people have been doing this for so long. And then we can add on top of that all these other things that make it even better. So not only is it portable and installable anywhere, and also, by the way, more affordable, but you can install it and take it with you. You can do so many more things. So it was obvious to us that we didn't have to create a need, and we didn't even have to fundamentally create a concept that people could believe in because they've been doing it for so long. We just had to make it better and more affordable.
The difference between a wire and a GPS signal. To them, it's the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. And this not only comes with the go wherever you go wireless fence, you also have smart training involved. Explain a little bit with that. You worked with Cesar Millan also to create this expert dog training program that's also part of it, as well as a GPS tracker. So explain a little bit about that.
Sure. That's key, by the way, because what happens is, again, going back to the old way, with the old invisible fence, they come, they train your dog, they learn the fence, but it doesn't do anything to improve your relationship with your dog. In fact, they just get scared. That's how they train. So they're like, oh, I'm going to potentially
get hurt. Yeah.
Hurt if I leave. So it's a terrible approach. So Cesar's approach, first of all, is about you and your dog bonding. And the training follows all of Cesar's experience and guidance. So you exercise your dog first. It's about energy. You exert calm confidence. It's how to communicate with your dog and create what Cesar would describe as rules, boundaries, and limitations, which every time I tell people that, they're like, I need that for my kids.
No.
Rules, boundaries, and limitations are what dogs need. And they also need a life off leash. So basically, the training element of it will ultimately come down to your dog learning kind of two things. One is that beep means fence. Now, this is by the way, the beep can be customized to your dog. So you can do whatever you want. But the same way your dog learns the ring doorbell means someone is at your door, like that sound, and they bark. Like my dog, even if she's eating dinner, she hears that ring doorbell, she's barking every time. So dogs are great at associations. So if you can practice the association, beep means fence, then wherever you go, when your dog is heading towards that fence line, they're going to hear that beep and they're going to understand that means come back. But they have all the freedom until they hit that point to just run, and you can set those fences wherever you want. So beep means fence, but the funnest part, which I love more than the beep means fence, believe it or not, is whistle means come back. Oh. So you basically, one of the buttons on the app is hit a whistle. And so wherever my dog is, like right now she's upstairs, if I hit that whistle button, she would come down here because she knows whistle means come back. So I take her for walks in the mountains. I know I'm tracking her because it tracks her as well. So you know where she is in real time. But I let her go run and explore as much as she wants. And then as soon as I think that she's getting a little too far, I hit the whistle button and she literally comes right back to me. And all of that really Cesar helps you train your dog. But that's basically something also that's been around for almost 20 years. It's called clicker training in the industry. So dogs respond to it. So basically whistle means come back, beep means fence. Cesar sets that up for you. And now you have rules, boundaries, and limitations, and also a great life with your dog.
I love that. One of the things that bothered me when I heard last year about the electronic fence is like, I don't like this idea of my dog possibly getting shocked or whatever. And I'm like, no, my dog will just begin to be like, I'm a bad dog. I went near this area and I got hurt. It's like, no, I totally didn't like that concept. But I love this concept of the beeping and the whistling, because here you're building boundaries, but without harming your pet.
Right. And by the way, with our product also, you don't go to harm. You're not trying to train through fear. We do have what's called static, which is different than shock. So I do want to point that out, which is an adjustable level where you can kind of raise it. So it's almost like, a TEMS unit that you might have where if, you went into physical therapy, where you'd feel like a tingling, but you get your attention. So you can kind of raise it to a level where, like, if they're about to run into the street, like we have people who use this. So at first they just hear the beep because then they should be trained beep. And we actually monitor how many times does your dog get the beep versus eventually do they respond to that, and it doesn't escalate. But we have two levels of escalation before we get to static, by the way. One is vibrate.
Okay.
Really, the static would only be used in emergency, and it's not going to hurt. It's just going to get their attention.
I like that. That's awesome. And what I'd also like to hear, and maybe Michael, about the technology of this, but what's a GNSS? They have the GPS and a GNSS. I don't know what that is.
Right. So GNSS is just a more generic term because GPS is very specific for the United States put up satellites for navigation. Those are GPS satellites, but there are other constellations now up, but other countries have put up over the last, however many years now, including there's a European satellite system, there's a Russian satellite system, there's a Chinese satellite system. We listen to all of it. And the reason is because, and by the way, that's relatively new in these receivers that are now available that you'll have even now in your phone, that they can hear not just US satellites but all the global satellites. And the reason why that's helpful is really the more satellites you can hear, the more accurate your location. And really that's what's been holding this technology back from really being so usable. I think people have thought to try to do this before. It just wasn't accurate enough or cost effective enough. And now it actually is accurate enough to do the job. And part of that's because there are all these satellites out there. And by listening to all of them, not just the GPS satellites, but all of them, you can become extremely accurate. And that's really a key to making this work effectively.
That's great. So that at any time, you know exactly where your dog is so you can keep tabs and make sure he's safe. I love it.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And you can do that. We have it in our app, it basically just to be very clear here, all you get is the Halo collar, a device we give you called a beacon, which is really initially just for training indoors, but you can use it to create keep away areas indoors, and a phone app, an app on your phone. So that's it. There's nothing to install, no wires, no flags, no other accessories. That's all you need. And the app lets you not only create your boundaries, but it also lets you see, like you said, where is my dog right now? What's it been doing all day? Where has it been?
Oh, cool.
Right. So that's Ken's holding up a Halo collar, and that's basically what it looks like. It's designed to grow with your dog. So, ideally you would get a Halo when your dog's about 5 months old and ready to start learning and getting trained. And then as a puppy, it may have like a smaller neck size, but as it grows, it will flex and get larger and larger with your dog as it grows. And you can continue to adjust the strap as your dog's neck size grows. So we wanted to design a single solution that would work for any size dog.
Wow. And so I'm just guessing. So when the strap gets put on, you keep it on all the time, or you can take it off indoors, or?
You can take it off.
Right. You can take it off indoors. You can take it off at night while you're sleeping. We recommend actually taking it off at night. I think it's better for your dog not to be wearing it all the time. But you can use what we call our beacon product as an indoor containment system. So there are reasons to have your dog wear it indoors. If, for example, I keep a beacon by my front door so that if my dog hears a doorbell and goes running to the front door and there's a visitor, my dog will get reminded by the beacon, not by GPS, but by the beacon, that it shouldn't run into the front door or at the threshold of the front door. So That way my dog will stay at a distance from the front door. And that's a feature that's an indoor feature. And even in an apartment or anywhere, you can use this feature. So it's very useful indoors.
New York City, we're getting customers where the invisible in rural areas where installing an invisible fence, which is what happens is people get a dog and then they, a dog lives, unfortunately, a very kind of difficult life, because what I mean by that is they're either indoors or on a leash.
Yeah.
And they really need that exercise and they need that freedom to roam and explore and play. Otherwise, they can like misbehave and eat your couch and things like that. So you really have to get your dog the right amount of exercise and freedom. And, Cesar's written many books about this that are, New York Times bestsellers. And what he loved about this technology is that he believes that dogs really need a life off leash. Yeah. And, the first photograph that made him famous was him walking 50 pit bulls or something in downtown LA, all off leash.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was amazing. Now he has 12 million followers and he's known, worldwide as the dog whisperer. So he was really amazed by the life off leash. And that's really what this is about. I was wondering, do you want me to, I could bring up on the screen
the app
and you could kind of take a quick look. I know it's also a podcast, but
no, I'd love that you do that for anyone watching. And because I was going to ask, how do people interface and learn the smart training on how to integrate this and build the boundaries with their dog? I'm guessing there might be videos or.
Yep, I'm going to show if you. It says host disabled participant screen share.
All right, let's do that.
I will show you.
Okay, boom. I think you can go.
Yeah.
Okay.
While he's bringing it up, I just want to point out that, as we mentioned earlier, everything is built into the app as far as the user interaction is concerned, and Ken will show it to you. But we really want to make it easy and accessible to everybody, from any age, any level of technology expertise. It doesn't take a technology wizard to set the system up and use it. And Ken will kind of show you what that looks like. But ease of use, some people could be scared of technology. We want to make it very easy.
And you can use this on both a smart and Android, or? Awesome.
Yes.
On the Play Store and the Web Store.
Wonderful. Because I have
so if you click on the app, it brings it up. And that is my house. But basically, that is the safe area.
Oh.
My house. Right now, that's Sugar, which is right here. That's where I'm sitting in my office right over there. So that is my dog is Reese's. So she, like I said, uses it every time, but you use this to set up fences. So for example, you can bring your dog to the beach, set up the fence there. This is Cesar's barbecue area where we've been going out there for years, trying to get the product perfected with his, input. So we would bring our dogs to his barbecue area. This is my house. We talked about that.
Yeah.
But then you have my neighbor's house, like across the street. So when I bring my dog with me to my neighbor's house, they're also safe. So you really can set up fences anywhere. You can get, the training. Let me jump to the training.
Yeah.
It's all in the app. So for example, first you have to train yourself on the technology. That's the user training. So if you click on that, it's going to bring you right to Cesar Millan.
Teaching you how to use it. Awesome.
And he is going to tell you exactly everything you know to get started with your Halo and have a successful training. And then you have the pet training. And that's the funnest part. So now that you've been trained, by the way, Cesar believes that America, they do it all wrong. They send their dogs out to be trained.
When they should be trained. Yeah,
Right.
there's a problem a lot of times. Yeah.
Dogs all think the same way. It's like if you were trained to understand how dogs think, you'd have a lot better success with dogs.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Ken, because one of the things my husband says is people keep getting confused treating their dogs like they're human children, and their dogs, they don't think like humans. And so we got to get inside their head and think like a dog, not like a human.
Right. By the way, one of the examples he gives that I love, just so you have an analogy, is horses.
Yeah.
So, if you ever walked up to a horse people do that very respectfully. They don't just run up and go, "Oh, hey, cutie horsey." Like, they're scared of the horse. It's bigger, so therefore they show respect. And even though a dog is a cute little puppy, they're still an animal, and so they needed to be treated in a certain way. They have a certain expectations about how animals behave with each other and how they interact. And if you learn that, you will really be much better equipped. Like with this technology, Cesar likes to say that, he speaks dog and people speak phone. So basically this technology and the training help kind of bridge that gap, because you learn all about Cesar's methods in here.
Yeah. Michael, you wanted to say something, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the user training Ken brought up before is really all about that. Really teaching you, the owner, about how to change your mindset and how to really relate to your dog in a different way than most people do. And it's really, in and of itself, it's a phenomenal training program just on its own. Even putting the Halo collar aside, it's just amazing. And the feedback we get from customers who go through that training is great, and how they've totally changed their relationship with their dog and understand how to work with their dog so much differently than they ever did before, that it's, equally, if not more valuable than everything else that Halo brings. But we really bring it all to you because it's really designed to change people's lives with their dogs, not just a piece of technology, but it's really meant to change your whole family
and really
unit.
And your dog's life more than anything. I mean, because think about it then, if you take your dog out and try to give them the exercise they need, if you walk a mile, they go a mile. Yes. Well, they need 4 miles, that's what they need, but you're not going to go 4 miles, or maybe some people are. Yeah. So they really need activity. They really need rules, boundaries, and limitations, like all children, and I used to take my dog before Halo to my brother's house, and because even though they had an invisible fence, my dog's collar didn't work on their invisible fence, so I had to have my dog on the leash. So their dog wants to play with Reese's, and Reese's wants to play with their dog, but unfortunately I'm pulling his neck, like pulling her neck to the point where, like, first of all, it's hurting her a lot more than any static ever would. She's getting completely pulled right on her neck. And ultimately, I ended up just stopping bringing her because I didn't want to lose her, because you understand that 10 million dogs a year are lost. It's crazy if you Google it. So you're not going to let your dog get lost. So you end up not bringing her places where she would have an amazing time. So now I take her with me everywhere.
I love that so much. And this is for, let's say your dogs and you together have been together for quite a few years. It doesn't matter how long you've been together, right? You can still use this technology to be helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The only real recommendation we have is that you really want to wait to do the training till your dog's about 5 months old, but there's no age limit on the higher end. Your dog could be, 12 years old. It doesn't matter.
I love
and there's a lot to learn at any age for any dog. And for every dog owner. So,
by the way,
the technology is easy for them.
Because we had the invisible fence and my dog was trained on it now 9 years ago, when I first put the technology on my dog and put the Halo on my dog and took her somewhere, I was really astonished. She remembered beep means fence from 9 years ago. Whoa. So she had that in her head, and it basically meant that she was trained and I could literally just take her anywhere. She knew it. So it was pretty amazing. First time I tested it, I was like, oh my God, it works. But like, we knew the technology worked, but I didn't know my dog remembered it.
Wow. They're very smart. People don't give dogs enough credit. They're super smart. I mean, I think mine is. But, I was in Brooklyn until just 8 months ago. And always on leash. Now we're in a community in Texas, but the community asks that all dogs be on leashes because you don't know if all dogs are properly trained. But what we do is sometimes we'll go out late in the evening, say 11 o'clock, and I'll just let her off the leash because I know people aren't out. And you should see my husband and I look at my dog Henry, and he looks so dogified. He's just walking around being a dog, and you can see the dogified coming out. That he's getting his dog on when he's off the leash.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how they want to be all the time, for sure.
Yeah. I know. I
Oh,
love
by
it.
the way, I'm supposed to have a leash. What I tell people is that I walk around my neighborhood and my block where you're supposed to have it on leash, your
Yeah.
dog, but I don't put her on a leash.
You
So
don't.
what
Uh-huh.
happens is I let her roam,
Mm.
and then if people are coming the other way, obviously, then I see that and I hit the whistle button and she comes right back to me. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing. And then she walks next to me until we
Yeah.
pass them. And then
Uh-huh.
I say to her, okay, you can go. She starts running again. And then the people are like, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. And I'm like, it's a wireless leash. But it is a wireless leash because
Uh-huh.
she comes right back and understands it, will not go up to them. And by the way, even if she did like get distracted by a deer, if I hit that whistle button, she literally stops every time. But if I call her name before whistle, maybe she listened 20% of the time. And I do think she's a super smart dog. But they don't always listen to their name.
No.
And,
Yeah.
I asked Cesar why that is.
Yeah. Why?
And he said, it's because you use their name for many different reasons.
Mm.
So, and they hear their name for so many different reasons that they don't know that in this particular circumstance, what you mean is stop what you're doing and come back.
Mm.
So they just, it's
They're like, yeah,
like,
okay.
like, oh, he's calling my name. Great. That's cool.
Well, this has been so fascinating. I got to look into getting this for Henry here. I thank you both so much, both Ken and Michael, for coming to share. Where can people get their smart collar or the Halo collar today? How do they do that?
You Google halocollar.com or Halo Collar. Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. We have like 25,000 people on our website every day these days. So there's like a lot of interest.
Mhm.
And the community is growing. Like every state has it. Like
That's awesome.
there's, it's they're on the Florida Keys, they're on Hawaii, we have them in Alaska, we have them in Maine. It's really exciting that we're building this community of people who want to have their dog safe
Be free
and
and
happy
safe.
off leash.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Yep.
so much, Ken and Michael Ehrman, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting to share on this wonderful, awesome technology that will make our dogs' life awesome and our life with them even better at Halo Collar. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much. And great.
Thank you, Christina.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.